everyone, it's Lynette with Charmed Grammy Crochet. How are you today? Today, at the time of filming, this is Friday morning. And I wanted to get on and show you what I've been working on, the progress I've made on a couple of things. First, I want to thank you for joining me here on my channel. If you're new, thanks for joining. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you come again and again. And if you're one of my returning subscribers, thanks so much for coming again and again. I appreciate it so much. If you aren't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. That really helps. Like, share, all those things. Comments, I do respond. Sometimes it takes me a little bit, but I do get to all the comments eventually. And I appreciate them so much. As you know, if you've been here for a minute or more, I love to do the luck of the draw, crochet along, hosted this time by Trish, Mama Swift, and Jaxie from Creations by Jax. They're doing it together this time. And we just completed, I just finished my week 2. We're on week 2. I am up to date on that crochet along, so yay. This is luck of the draw 12. Which means normally you have 5 colors that are the draw colors, and you number them 1 through 5, and then you have a main color that you use every week in between the luck of the draw colors. So every week Trish draws a number, and you use the corresponding yarn to that number, which is the luck of the draw. You get to, the color you use is based on the draw number. So I have, this is Boggy Creek style, which means instead of a 20 week, which is the original Nan's Next Knots, luck of the draw was 20 weeks. This is a 10 week because the blankets for Boggy Creek, which is a camp in Eustis, Texas, Texas, where did I come up with Texas? Eustis, Florida, that is for chronically ill children. And Nancy from She's Got Yarn, myself, Lynanne from Nina's Knots Crochet, Jaxie from Creations by Jax, Juan the Yarn Addict, who has taken a step back a little bit, and Billy the Crafty Floridian, also taken a step back a little bit, but still participating. We are Nancy, Billy, and I started it to ask the community, you all, to make blankets for this camp for chronically ill children. The camp is free to the kids. They go for a week during the summer or family weekends throughout the rest of the year. Being that they're in Florida, they can go all year long. They take up to 160 kids at a time, or family members, and it's free. And all the kids get to take home a blanket. It's handmade, knitted, crocheted, woven, whatever you do with yarn. And they are 35 to 40 wide, 40 to 50 long, and every kid gets one. The cabins are broken up into colors, and the kids are divided out through, into these 4 color groups: red, yellow, blue, and green. And there, something's tickling me. It's a hair. So they're divided up into the color groups. Every week that there's camp, it's specific to one illness. So all the kids there have the same illness. All the kids there get to be kids with that same illness. So they're not separated out by illness. That's the kid with epilepsy, or that's the kid with sickle cell anemia. Nothing like that. They're all have the same disease while they're there. Excuse me. They have a complete medical staff trained in that specific illness that are volunteers. So there's a lot of work that goes into this. And what we do is make blankets. Every Wednesday we go live on Nancy's channel, and you send her the blankets and she shows them, and we discuss them, and we excuse me, ooh and ah over all the beautiful blankets that come in. And you get inspired. And the community, we have a swag shop. We have designers who have created blankets designed specifically for Boggy Creek. I mean, you can make them for anything. So we have a playlist of that. We have, we just started a Facebook group page. We have a website, All Boggy Blanket Brigade, which is a name that some of our subscribers have created for us and everyone that participates. We also collect tumbleweeds, which are little pom-poms on a string that the kids get. That's a whole cool idea to help spread kindness. You, all the kids get one when they go to camp, and if you do an act of kindness and someone sees it, then they take a string out of their pom-pom and tie it to the string that holds your necklace on. And the idea is that you're doing so many kind things for other people that you get your necklace all tied with strings from other people, and you're pulling strings and giving it to them, and it's a whole, it's such a cool idea. So they do all these really neat things at camp. And the Boggy Blanket Brigade, did I mention we have a swag shop? All these things will be linked in my description box below. There's tutorials on how to make tumbleweeds, which they are creating or asking for a lot of them for 2026 because it's the 30-year anniversary of Boggy Creek Camp, and they're doing a lot of really cool things. I don't know what, but they need an abundance of tumbleweeds this coming up year for their anniversary, the 30th anniversary celebrations. So they've asked that. We raise money on the swag shop. All the proceeds go to Camp Boggy Creek. Billie has had auctions. She's raised a lot of money. They have a Amazon wish list, and she raised $11,500. Billie did, to gift things to the kids, and for shoes, basketballs, underwear, toothbrushes, in case the kids forget stuff the camp provides. And through that, they need donations. So our little "can we make a blanket for Boggy Creek" from Sue's mom has grown into, last year we donated over 3,000 blankets. This year we want blankets and tumbleweeds and the camaraderie of our community, which has been wonderful. The outpouring for these kids in this camp is heartwarming, and it gets me all worked up every time. So anyway, we're doing Luck of the Draw 12. We're on week number 2. I am using colors. I'm not using a main color this time. I'm just doing the 5 camp color, the 4 plus a cream. So the 4 cabin colors, which are, as I said, red, green, yellow, and blue, and I'm using cream as a 5th color. So I have 5 colors. I didn't want to add an additional color because I added the cream because I needed 5. But I just really wanted to go with the 4 cabin colors. So I'm living in this big, huge plastic bag. And because I'm using Big Twist, hold on just a second. All of my big balls of yarn are Big Twist that I got on clearance. They ask that you make the blankets out of wash and dryable yarn. I know Big Twist says not to dry. I dry it. It's just 100% acrylic yarn. You can dry it. My cream color is Karen 1 pound. I know it's upside down. There it is. And we have 2 weeks. So I don't have the main color. I'm just going straight colors. And week number 1 and week number 2. I'm not telling you what the numbers were because you have to go watch Trisha's video. And you just can type in Luck of the Draw and 100 videos will come up. Or Mama Swift. And she is in my description box. So anyway, this is, apparently this was a creative grandma stitch week number 7, people have told me. You know, she does the stitch of the week, and this was stitch number 7, and I don't know what it's called. I only know this because people have told me that's what this stitch pattern is. I saw it on TikTok. Somebody was like, look at what I'm making kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, wait, pause. Let me see that. I love that pattern. It's so nice. Jaxie did pique my interest as a new blanket for Luck of the Draw. They have been coming up with a new pattern every Luck of the Draw, which is so cool. It's a very lacy pattern, and I wanted something not as lacy. Well, I had some, if you watched a previous video, I had some issues getting my pattern to be the right width. It kept growing on me. So what I ended up doing is I started with a row of half double crochet foundation chain, and I used an 8mm hook, and the rest of it is a 7mm hook. And originally what I did was I used a 6mm hook for the whole thing, and it started at under 40 inches because I know my crochet always grows a little bit, and it ended up at like 50 plus inches by the time I had one week section done. And I'm like, what is going on with this? I couldn't figure it out. So I pulled the whole thing out and started over and did it this way, and now it actually shrunk a little bit from my foundation chain, but it is 35 inches, I think, and it's not growing and it's not shrinking anymore. So I'm real happy with it. I love the stitch pattern. Now the holes are bigger than what I wanted. When I used the 6mm hook, it was stiff, but the holes in it were smaller, and I really liked it, other than it was kind of stiff. It's very much more drapey. The red is way drapier than the Karen. The Big Twist has got a better drape to it than the Karen 1 pound, but it's got a little bit of drape to it, so it's softer than what it was with the 6mm. So I'm real happy with the way it's turning out. And apparently, like I said, it's someone told me it's a stitch pattern by Creative Grandma. So this is weeks 1 and 2. I'm loving it. It's not taking very long. I mean, like, I worked on this. We were going to my son's house, and he's like an hour. The road construction is completed, so now it took 10 minutes off. So it's like an hour and 20 minutes to get there, and I had this done in less than that. Including the changing of the color, because I always leave the previous color attached until the new color is drawn. So this is drawn on Thursdays, and the video goes up at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Luck of the Draw also has a Facebook page and a messenger group page that you can join. And then I worked on a graph for Boggy Creek. There are a couple of women, Annette from Tangled in Yarn, and Tatiana, I think it's Tatiana's Creations or Tatiana's Blankets, have created graphs for us to make Graphgans for Boggy Creek. It's so very cool. Now, I am not a Graphgan kind of girl. I have made one, I think, graph, no, 2 in my life, and they're small. So I did do the Cat's Meow blanket last year, and I guess that's kind of a graph. I was so lost on that thing most of the time, but I have a hard time following the graph. I lose my line. Even when I was going back and forth with the Cat's Meow, I was losing my line and getting, but with it counted out. Now, Annette did a tutorial. It's a 4-step, it's like 4 parts to the tutorial, but she goes through and makes a graph and shows you how to do it, gives you tips along the way. A lot of this, I think, comes with practice. You need to practice how to, I think the more you make them, the more you'll know how to, when to start a new bobbin, and when, you're done with that bobbin. I did one graph, and I actually did this listen to videos. I watched all 4 of of Annette's videos yesterday. I used, hold on. I made this graph. This is just a small graph, and there's 9 of them to make a blanket. For Boggy Creek, you're going to make 9 graphs and then sew them together. This is a stick with marshmallows for roasting. Very cute for a camping blanket. Now, like I said, I am not corner to corner is one thing. I can make a corner to corner pretty brainless after you do a couple of rows. It's not, you know, do a couple of rows on the increase and you got it. Do a couple of rows on the decrease and you got it. That isn't a problem. In Annette's video, she uses fiddle stitch and a iPad, and she writes right on her iPad, you know, with I guess a pen, special pen or whatever. She writes right on her iPad, and she'll count out the numbers. Okay, I need you start on this corner. Very important to remember that. You start here, not here. The graph is built this direction, not this direction. It's very helpful to know that. And you mark that first stitch. Once you have the first stitch, you mark it with and I'll show you. But anyway, you mark that first stitch so you know where that block is. So you always know how to put your lay your blanket out and know that that's where that stitch is, so you can arrange it correctly. So she counts out and writes it down, and what I'm talking about counting out is like this. This tells you what everything is. So this is the start. So the first 14 rows on this graph, and this is the reason that I picked this particular one to do first, because the first 14 rows are just all blue. They're all the sky blue, and so I could practice the graph, I mean the corner to corner, since I haven't done one of those in a really long time. I had to watch a video on how to make a corner to corner. I couldn't remember. And I'm probably going to go back to that video to start the next one, just because I want to make sure that I do it and start it right. I don't know which one I'm doing next out of the 9. They're in the other room. But I did, pardon me, watch the video, make the graphs all in one night. But I was up late. So, and I have not sewed in any ends. I just kept working on it because I put it down to go to the bathroom, and then when I picked it back up, I started going the wrong way. I picked it up the wrong way, and that little stitch marker in the corner was a savings grace many times. So I have not sewn in my ends, and the next one I'll be a little more proficient, and I'll sew in ends probably as I go, which is what Annette says to do, and makes the most sense because you can have all these strings hanging, and they're like kind of sometimes in the way. Plus now it's just going to be a lot of strings to weave in. But I left them merely to show you, I wasn't always sure. And you can't, you have to add bobbins. And I don't know if I added them completely in the right places or if I carried yarn I shouldn't have carried. I think I probably, but sometimes I cut yarn and then found out, oh, I could have left that yarn on there. So other times I had bobbins hanging way at the other end that oh man, I should have got rid of that one a long time ago. And I think that's what's going to come with just the more you do it, the more you know, oh, yep, definitely done with this. But when you're looking at the graph, I never know, oh, am I going to catch that piece again? Or do I, like, right here I had 1. Okay, get rid of that, right? Here there were 2. And so that was pretty, but down in here, am I catching that? Can I put that over there? Or and it's, so as you get more proficient, I'm sure it becomes easier. There were a couple of times when I had put it down. I didn't make it in an evening, but throughout the day. Got to my son's house and did some things, and I found myself with time on my hands, so I was crocheting. And then until late in the evening. The more you do this, I can see the faster it would become, the more you would be able to say, oh, I'm going to be done with this yarn now. Way easier than what I was figuring it out. So I wanted to show you what a mess it looks like, but it's done. And if I added when I didn't need to, or took away when I shouldn't have, really, it's a few ends extra to sew in. Not that big a deal. But it turned out. So I'm showing you the mess just so you can see. This is the front. And I know that only because I have my stitch marker in the corner. And that came in so handy when I picked it up and found out I was going, in the wrong area. I had it, because you turn it as you're doing. Every time you go to a different row, you have to turn it. And you can easily lose track of what's the front and what's the back because you turn it, there's not like a front and a back. And the way that, and mine isn't perfect by any means. I do have a couple of places where the yarn crosses over that probably shouldn't. It wouldn't on Annette's. Like right here. Why is this yarn right here? Oop, that's wrong. Am I going to rip it out for that? Nope, because I didn't know it was there. And the blanket is done, and it's going to have a little brown line. That's okay. All in all, unless you're really looking for it, on this side it shows worse. But unless you're really looking for it, you're not going to see things like that because you're looking at the graph all in all, over and over. Like here, this maybe could have been done better where that little piece. But it's a tree, and they have little pieces that stick out, so just use your imagination. My brown yarn is not as thick as the others, so it must be a thin 4. It was a Millen's, but I liked the color for the tree, so I used it. I don't know if I'm going to use that brown anymore in the rest of the graphs because it did not, I mean, overall it doesn't look bad, but if I had used, you know what, I think it might be like a Karen Simply Soft kind of yarn where they call that a 4-weight, but it's shiny and thinner, silkier, so it doesn't hold its shape as well when you're putting it into the squares, and they're not as stiff and big as like the blue yarn here, which is Red Heart Super Saver. This blanket is not very drapey, but Super Saver washes much thinner, softer, so I'm okay with that. So Super Saver is what the blue is. Everything else is probably going to be scraps, partial skeins, whatever I have in the colors that are going to be close enough to what the graph is. I do have a lot of scraps. Nancy gave me some when I was there for tumbleweeds. I might dip into that. My granddaughters and I are going to make tumbleweeds next week. We have a plan for it anyway. So I'm going to use some of my scrap yarns for that too. I mean, that's what I have some of them for. But now that I'm doing these, the Graphgan, I kind of like, oh wait, I might need those colors. I might want to include those in my blanket. So my crochet project for today at some point is going to be to get rid of these ends, and then I can show you what it looks like. And there won't be a border on here because it's going to be more squares, but all in all, I'll be able to show you what it looks like without the ends. Hopefully sooner rather than later. I don't mind really sewing in ends. Like, it's a pretty brainless kind of job, if you ask me. So I can even do that around the campfire tonight if I want to. if we have a campfire. Depends on how hot it is and if it's raining. But it's Friday night and we usually do campfires. Fridays and Saturday nights here at the campground. So I can weave in ends at the campfire, no problem. That might be the task for tonight's campfire, besides eating roasted marshmallows. No, I don't. They're too gooey. I don't like to eat them. And I don't like s'mores. The graham crackers. I love a graham cracker crust on a pie, but I don't like to eat just graham crackers. They're too dry. So anyway, that is my campfire story. And that is my roasted marshmallow square. It turned out it wasn't, I mean, you have to be a little ambitious, I think, to want to try it. But after that, it's awesome. I love it. I really enjoyed it. And I'm very grateful for the tutorial, because there were a lot of tips in the tutorial that I wouldn't have known about, that made my life a little bit easier. And let me know that it's okay to do with that, like stuff, you know, some tricks of the trade. So watch those. I will link her channel, Annette's Tangled in Yarn channel. It's the only 4 videos that I saw, so give that a shot. If you're going to do a graph, the graphs are available on Jaxie's website. I think on their I don't know if they're available on the YouTube channel for Annette and excuse me, Tatiana, but they're available through our Boggy Blanket Brigade at gmail.com. You just put graphs in the subject line, and Jaxie will email you a PDF with all the graphs that were created. If you want to make, they're adorable. They're all adorable. I would love to make every one of them. Will I do that? Nope. Annette does say they're best to do it on a table so you can spread out. I 100% would agree with that. I didn't have a table to spread out on. Well, I could have last night, but I was sitting in our back bedroom, which we've turned into a den, in a recliner. So, but I thought, oh, it's just a little graph. But I ended up at times with a lot of bobbins hanging off. I think mostly because of my inexperience. Some of those I probably didn't need and could have gotten rid of. I know one of them was like, I don't know, I was several inches down the graph further and realized I'm never going to use that bobbin again. So cut that one off. But it was an experience. I'm going to work on, I'm going to pick out the one I think is the next simplest one and go with that and try to get them progressively harder as I get more experience under my belt. But I'm excited to do more. I'm excited to get them all done. If I find that, oh gosh, I just, it's turning into work and not enjoyment, I can always take these little ones that I make. If I, get to the point that, I can't. I'm not foreseeing that because I'm specifically, made small ones so that they wouldn't be too overwhelming, was my whole point or plan. And I am going to keep this here so that when I am sewing them together, I'll know this layout goes that direction and this is the bottom corner, But if you do one and you say, oh goodness, I'm not doing this anymore, you can easily, because these are 3 and they have this little lip thing here, you could easily do, I think it's, I'm pretty sure you got that lip on all 4 sides. Not this side. Oh, no lip there. 3 of the 4 sides. I think I would add a chain 3 single crochet, chain 3 single crochet, and then on this bottom row, and then go here and just do the modern granny. So, you would do the granny on this little line thing, this little chain 3 space, do a granny square, and or do the granny stitch, granny cluster, and then the next row you do the chain 3 single crochet, chain 3 single crochet in between each granny cluster, and keep going until your blanket was a proper size for Boggy Creek. So if you did if you wanted to attempt it and you didn't like it, you could do one of these little squares and then turn it, or several of them, and make more blankets instead of one big granny square blanket. You know, I mean, one big graph blanket. With all of them, you could make a bunch of blankets with just the center being the corner to corner, and then go, you know, it would work. And I don't think be hard to convert it from that corner to corner into a modern granny or any other stitch pattern you wanted, but the modern granny would work with that, having the chain 3 space on 3 of the 4 corners, 3 of the 4 rows. So anyway, that's it. That's all I have for you. I enjoyed doing the graph, the first one, and when I pick out the next one, I'll let you guys know how, and I'll tell you how it worked up. Hopefully I won't need to follow videos along the way, and I maybe will sit in front of the table and do it a little more. But I do like to crochet in my recliner at night, you know. So anyway, I'm going to be done now. I'm going to talk to you later in the next video. I've got things to do today. So I'm going to get this uploaded, and I'll see you later. Thanks for watching, subscribing, liking, all those YouTube things. And thanks for coming back again and again. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.